Hello everyone, I'm your friend Lisa. Welcome to our channel, where TTF Power. If you like us, please subscribe us at the right bottom of this video. So, as we all know, we are a manufacturer of power line hardware, and in the several live channels before, we are talking about many kinds of topics. What are they? How do you remember? Now, let's have a review. Our first video talk about the insulators. You know what is insulators? Yes, it can cut off the electrical flow through the wires. And the second one is clamps. In the second video, we talk about clamps, especially two kinds of steps. Do you remember them? What are they? They are tension clamps and suspension clamps. Yes. So, in this third video, we talk about the electrical transmission tower. We just described what is this and what the function of it. Do you remember this picture here? Yes, you are very clever. You are very clever to remember this one. And on Monday, we talk about the power line system. The house is me. Do you remember the picture here? The household and the outside doors system. I just described how the electrical flows to the transform from the outside to our household. Do you remember? Yes, that is. And the last one is yesterday's. Our colleague Amanda will talk about the power line hardware. As we all know, we are a manufacturer of the power line hardware. So today we are still going to talk about something about the power line hardware. So what are the topics today? Today we are divided into three parts. The first part is what is power line hardware. I will talk about it from two aspects, power line and hardware. And the second part is the application of power line hardware. I will talk about 18 categories of the usage of the power line hardware. And the last one is the third one. I will talk about the importance of quality of testing for quality power line hardware. In this part, I will give you 4 tips of how to test the quality of the power line hardware. So now let's start our topic today. Let's going to talk about the first topic. What are power line hardwares? To talk about the power line hardware, I will separate the terms into 2 parts. The first part is power line, and the other part is hardware. What is a power line? A power line is a pole that goes about as a mark of connection for the links that are utilized for power and correspondence transmission. It is likewise alluded to as a utility pole, or basically a pole course. So how about hardware? Hardware is normally used to allude to instruments, frill, and parts. In this unique situation, pole-like hardware is apparatuses and parts that are utilized with the pole to empower smooth transmission of force and correspondence cables. You can likewise call them pole-like extras or utility pole embellishments. So that is a pole-like hardware. They come in various structures and assume various parts in the ethereal transmission or overhead lines. The idea of the application will decide the particular utility pole, decide them how to use and how to utilize them. So that is the pole-like hardware. So let's going to talk about the second part, the application of the pole-like hardware. In this part, I will talk about 18 types of various kinds of pole-like hardwares. So let's start from the brace cross-arm. The cross-arms suppose interface the electrical cross-arm by screws and nuts. They support the electrical cross-arm and make the pole cross-arm form. The materials will also use the steel to make up the brace cross-arm. The second pole-like hardware I want to talk about is extension-like hardware. There are parts introduced on highest point of pole line to give additional leeway from the pole. They are typically made by embracing a hot plug. So how about gins? Gins settle the cross-arm. They are utilized for occurring the cross-arm supports and pole acquiring. The material to make up the gins are also aluminum, bendable iron, and steel. Next one is guide attachment. They achieve all dimension guiding as necessities and meet all power and utility needs. The material to make up the guide attachment are always aluminum, pebble iron, and steel. So let's come to the fifth one, the guide ended. They are applied to interface fellow wires and establishing secures. The rigidity are sufficiently able to surpass the prized breaking strength of the strand. The next one I want to talk about is guide string. They are intended to isolate from the pole to fellow wires. They have the elite exhibition holding strengths. There are different tension strengths. Application on guide string. Then the insulator pin. They support nails separate to the power pole. There are always wooden or metal drawings of around 1.18 in breadth with secure screw strings. And the eighth one is Luminaire Support. It is the section connection to a pole from which a luminaire is suspended. It is an installation used to mount other hardware and gear on various types of poles. And next one I want to talk about is the pole band. It is also a pole-like hardware. They guarantee different gears to be handle-mounted on utility poles. And the 10th one is pole dating nails and staple. It is a nail with the date steps in its end. Pole staple is utilized to get wire fencing to utility posts. And the next one is pole line construction brackets. They intend to help other electrical cable hardware. They have two mounting positions. They tend to be utilized in above line development. How about pole steps? They are apparently for electrical upkeep. They are introduced on pole poles for supporting the workers. The reinforcing plate support and give mounting positions to different supplies on the line development. They safeguard against harm to poles and across arms. Another pole-like hardware called screw hardware. They are normally thought of clamps used to join various materials together in power framework. They give protection on job connection. The third last one is secondary rack. They coordinate various auxiliary wires to utility pole. They support the links on above pole line and fix dropping guides. The second last one is stainless bending products. They have different path utility for appending an article with another and settled everywhere of the things in the right position. They are made of treated steel with various thickness and width. And the second last one, also the second last one. Sorry for I'm not very familiar with the number, sorry. The second last one is the state road assembly. They remain set. They are used to associate the stairwells to the ground anchor. They settle the wires to establish ground in firm state. Now, let's come to the end, the last power line hardware I want to talk about. What are they? They are stairwells, or we can call it guide wires. They are conductive links utilized for balancing out unsupported designs. They are applied on overhead lines development. So that's the 18 types of power line hardware I want to talk about today. Do you remember them? What are they? If you don't remember them, please rewatch it again. I will not stay to review it here. Let's come to an end. Today's last topic. What is this? Do you remember? It's very long time ago I talked about it. It is the importance of quality test for power line hardware. This part, I will give you 4 tips to test the quality of the power line hardware. Why the quality test is very important? Let's have a look. Testing of power line hardware has numerous advantages, both to the buyers and also to the power line hardware manufacturers. So, what are the benefits? Let's have a look. I will divide it into 4 parts. That's 4 tips. What are they? They are quality of hardware, safety of hardware, test the function of the hardware, and the test compatibility of the hardware. Let's talk about it one by one. For the quality of hardware, as a buyer, you can be sure that the quality of hardware will be up to standard. All the defects of the power line hardware will have been unmasked and rectified. At our company, TTF Power, we carefully inspect raw materials from all sources, making sure that the quality of final products is strictly in line with any manufacturing standard of your choice. The second tip is to test the safety of hardware. Through the testing procedure, all the safety aspects of power line hardware will be highlighted. So, in our company, we collaborate only with the reputed galvanizing mills to ensure quality. By doing so, the coating on all products are both smooth and constant in thickness. The third tip is to test the function of the hardware. Through a quality testing procedure, we are able to tell how the power line hardware can perform when subject to different physical and environmental conditions. The first tip, the last tip. Also, the last tip is testing compatibility of the hardware. Even though the power line hardware may be of high quality, it can fail to be compatible with other related power line equipment. So, through testing, TTF Power are able to uncover the issues of compatibility. Our team of engineers proactively communicate with you to better understand your instruction. In that way, we are able to resolve potential technical issues through the production. So that's all I want to talk about today. Let's have a review. Today we talk about 3 questions, 3 parts. The first part is what is the power line hardware, and second part I just describe the 18 categories of usage of power line hardware. For example, the guide wires, the staples, the resistors in place, and so on. And the last part, I talk about the importance of quality test for power line hardware. In this part, I'll give you 4 tips to testing the quality. They are testing the quality of hardware and safety of the hardware, and also test the function of the hardware. Also, the last one, the compatibility of the hardware. That's I want to talk about in today's live streaming. If you like us, don't please subscribe us at the right bottom of the video. If you like us, please remember to come here again tomorrow. Tomorrow, our colleague Amanda will talk about a new topic. Thank you, everyone. Bye.